Hiya! Welcome! Records Roundup number 23 is on the way as of right now, and I've got, I think, 6 records to show you, including a mail opening at the end of a brand new release that's out today, the day of me recording this. Although, as is often the case with these records videos, it will be on the channel a bit after, as I tend to be recording these a fair bit in advance at the moment. Anyway, right then, so let's get cracking. Not a great variety of artists to show you today, only 3 different bands, but plenty of stuff from at least the first couple anyway. So we'll start with a purchase that I made on Discogs, I believe this was. Someone had this listed at around, it was about £35 including postage, and I made a best offer of 30, and it was accepted, and I was pleased about that because this is an album that's difficult to find for a good price. It is this one, 3D by Kraftwerk. Now then, what this is kind of almost a sampler of a live box set that Kraftwerk released in, it will be 2017, I can see the year on the back. Basically, they released the catalogue, which was a box set of them playing all of their albums, well I say all, from Autobahn onwards up until Tour de France, live at various venues around the world. I'd like that set, but I don't find it essential for my Kraftwerk collection. But I did like the idea of having a live album of theirs, and I thought if I could find this selections from the box set at a good price that I'd get it. So there's 8 tracks on this, I believe it's split out over 2 discs. It was pre-owned, but apparently this had only been listened to twice, according to the seller. There's a look at the lads in the middle there. Hopefully not too much glare. So some of the tracks on here: Autobahn, a 14-minute version, Radioaktivität, Trans-Europa Express, Die Mensch-Maschine, Computerwelt, Technopop, Die Roboter, and Tour de France. So some very well-known stuff there, live stuff, and it does say some of the venues that they're gonna have recorded those, such as Museum of Modern Art in New York, somewhere in Dusseldorf, Tate Modern of London, Tokyo, Sydney, the Walt Disney Concert Hall in LA, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, etc, etc. This is just on black vinyl, by the way. I don't think this ever came out as a coloured edition. I didn't spot one anyway, and I have been looking intently at Kraftwerk. Not the most essential Kraftwerk edition, as you would have seen recently in my Records Roundup Kraftwerk special. It was all the coloured editions of the studio albums I really wanted, and then anything else was a bit of a bonus. But glad I've got this live album. The box set, I can't warrant paying that kind of money for it really. Much as I enjoyed Kraftwerk, I've loved listening to those albums. Every one of them is excellent as far as I'm concerned. But there we are, 3D from Kraftwerk. And we can stay with Kraftwerk for the moment, as the next album and the one after, they're from another Discogs seller. I decided to purchase a couple of brand new albums. I say brand new, not as in they're out recently, but they're new and sealed. And the first one I got for around £25-ish, I think, was Kraftwerk Remixers. And that feels like a bit of a bargain really, as there's 3 discs in here. And generally, when I've been looking at my usual websites for this album, it's been going for between £40 and £50. To get it for around 25, I can't remember the exact price, but I know it was around that. Once again, this is black vinyl. I think there was a coloured edition that came out that was very limited and exclusive to the Kling Klang online store. That goes for an absolute fortune on the aftermarket now, as you can imagine. Yeah, I'm interested to hear some of these Kraftwerk remixes. They've done some of them themselves, you can tell that because some of them are subtitled Kling Klang Mix. But more familiar remixes, for me anyway, on here are William Orbit, Francois Kevorkian, and Orbital, to name a few. A live Kraftwerk album and a remix Kraftwerk album, and this is quite a new thing as well. I think it came out either last year or the year before, and I'm delighted to get it. Remixes by Kraftwerk.
ping, boing, ping, boom, chat, pitch, ping, boing, ping, boom, chat, 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 ping, boing, boom, chat, ping, boing, boom, chat, ping, boing, boom, chat, boing, boom, chat, boing, boom, chat, boing, boom, chat, boing.
Also from this seller, I don't know why I decided to buy 2 items from him, probably just because I was searching for both Kraftwerk and this next band who I'm collecting a lot in lately, and he had a double album here that there again was probably a better price from this seller on Discogs than it was anywhere else at any of the other sites that I tend to look at. I'm talking about this album from Pink Floyd, Gummer. So it's a bit of an unusual album, this. I think it's Pink Floyd's first album of the 70s. I don't think it was late 69. I always worry about the dates, and then I realise I've got them on screen there so you can check for yourself. I looked it up beforehand anyway. But just as me standing here, I'm always like, oh duh, when did that come out? This is a remastered and reissued edition, obviously, brand new and sealed, on black vinyl again. I do love these big hype stickers, I've talked about them before. Some people probably find them quite obtrusive, really, for the sleeves, but I don't, I think they're great. But Gummer is an unusual one because it's a double album, but the first record, is a live album recorded in Birmingham and Manchester, and the second album is the studio album, but although it's credited to Pink Floyd, really it's each Pink Floyd member with their own solo compositions. So for instance, track 1 on the studio album is Richard Wright's, I can't even say that, Sisyphus, parts 1 to 4, and then we've got A Suite by Roger Waters, and then over on the other side we've got something from David Gilmour, and then Nick Mason. So it's kind of 4 solo contributions really, and then a live album. I'm not sure this is a particularly massively loved album by Pink Floyd, but I am slowly collecting all of the Floyd albums. This one, because of it being a double album, was always a little bit more expensive than many of the others that are easily available for under £20 brand new at a lot of sites. So I thought, yeah, I'll get this, as I'm still collecting in that kind of late 60s, early 70s era of Floyd, and I'll give it a go. I know it was a really good price and as cheap as I'd seen it for a brand new remastered copy. Gummer by Pink Floyd. And we can stay with Pink Floyd. Now the next 2 were from an eBay seller who I made a best offer on both of these, and these are 2 albums that I wasn't actually that desperate for. One of them I definitely would have got eventually, because it's a live album and I do like live LPs generally, but the other one is kind of like a compilation that's a bit throwaway really, but they were just such a good price I couldn't resist making an offer. So the first one, and these are classed as pre-owned, as in they've been listened to, but they've been kept in really nice condition. As you can see, the cellophane is open there, but it still retains the hype sticker. This is originally it was from 1981 or 82, Pink Floyd compilation, a collection of great dance songs. Now, I wasn't desperate for this at all, but I won it on eBay for £11. There again, it's in pretty much near mint condition. If you want to buy a mint condition brand new copy, it's generally around the £20 mark, so I thought, I'm saving almost £10 there. Free postage for this and the next album too, which made it even better. So there's only 6 tracks on here, but it's Pink Floyd, so they're going to be long tracks most likely. And I don't know where the sort of thinking was, how they decided why these tracks would go on this particular compilation. It seemed a bit of a stopgap album between probably The Wall and the final cut. So you can't really call it a greatest hits, it's just almost at random really. I was reading about this and I know the version of Money on here had to be re-recorded pretty much by Dave Gilmour on his own, because the Dark Side of the Moon version, they didn't have the copyright to put it on here. I don't really understand. Another Brick in the Wall Part 2's on here, which was Pink Floyd's to date sole #1 single. Completely inessential really, but I mean it's an official thing as you can see. Just thought I'd take a punt on it, got it for £11. The other one that I was more excited about, I got this for, well, it was 21, but actually this ended up being 11 as well because I used £10 worth of Nectar points. I made a best offer, it was up for about 25, haggled to 21, and then I used the voucher. Got this for 11, which is great for a 2-disc near mint LP. This is Delicate Sound of Thunder. I do like live albums. I've got a Pink Floyd live album, the recently released Live at Nebworth 1990. But I think I'll enjoy this one more because it was from the Momentary Lapse of Reason tour. That's an era of Pink Floyd where I was very familiar with it because my dad played a lot from that album, and I think he may have had this album at some point on cassette, I think. This has got my all-time favourite Pink Floyd track on the Turning Away. In fact, that's not just my all-time favourite Pink Floyd song, it's one of my all-time favourite songs, full stop. I absolutely love it, and I've heard the live version, the Delicate Sound of Thunder version, before, and it's fantastic. There's a lot of stuff from Momentary Lapse of Reason, which is another album that I have. I showed that some months ago. But it's got other well-known 1970s Pink Floyd stuff, Wish You Were Here, Comfortably Numb, Run Like Hell, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Learning to Fly, another great Pink Floyd single, surprisingly for a band who never really were into releasing singles, particularly from the 70s onwards. The tracks they have released as singles, generally, I'm a really big fan of. I was going to wait and get this after I'd collected all the studio albums, but when I saw that I could get it for quite a lot cheaper than elsewhere, and then I was able to get another £10 off it, I thought, yeah, I can't pass it up, really. Bit of a deviation, really. Collection of great dance songs and Delicate Sound of Thunder from the Pink Floyd collection, but I will get back to collecting the studio albums, and of course I've shown Ummagumma here today as well. Very soon, Pink Floyd, Delicate Sound of Thunder. Can end with a mail opening. This has come today on the day of release from Crash Records. That's a bricks and mortar record shop in Leeds, but they've got a really good website as well where you can pre-order stuff or purchase what's in stock. One of the Kraftwerk studio albums that I showed recently was from Crash. We get this mailer open here. This cost, I think this was over 30 with postage, but it's meant to be a special edition, this. So it was a bit more than the normal black vinyl edition. God, that's tight in there. Might have to tear this up a bit more. It's coming. There we are. It's Weezer's Seasons Spring. I did allude to this in the previous Records Roundup a couple of weeks ago. It's like an extended EP, really. It has got 8 tracks on it, so for me it'd be like a mini album, really. I believe one of the tracks on here is exclusive to the vinyl edition as well. I could be wrong on that, though. It's got a couple of nice hype stickers on here. What does it say on it? Don't know what that means. It does say glow in the dark there. I'm trying to decide whether to get this open now. What I'll do, I'll get it open later, and I'll try and find a way of showing the glow in the dark. Atlantic 75 hype there. 4 tracks on side A, 4 tracks on side B. The first of Weezer's 4 EPs that they released last year on CD and digitally, streaming, etc. So I'm expecting that summer will get a vinyl release, as will autumn, as will winter. So that's 4 Weezer records to buy this year. Don't know if all of them are going to be out on glow-in-the-dark vinyl. I'd imagine, knowing Weezer, they'll put summer out on some sort of bright colour or something. Very happy that my Weezer collection remains up to date with Spring, the first in the Seasons quadrilogy. And that's your lot for Records Roundup number 23. Hope you enjoyed this look at 6 albums I think it's 6. I'm losing count all the time. Thank you all for watching, and I want to say special thanks, as always, to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. Please see my Patreon link, Facebook group link, a link for contents insurance, and also a referral for HMV, all down in the description text box. I'm gonna go now, not listen to any of this yet, obviously. Which would you listen to first? Which wouldn't you listen to? It's basically a choice of Weezer, Kraftwerk and Pink Floyd today, but I think that's 3 excellent bands, 3 groups I'm loving collecting in, particularly at the moment, because of all the stuff that I need to either fill holes in the collection for Pink Floyd, or I'm just on a voyage of discovery like Kraftwerk and Weezer, of course. That is an up-to-date collection, vinyl-wise anyway, and I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next records roundup and record collecting video. Cheers everyone. See ya!